Hello and welcome back to One Breath at a Time. Thank you so much, of course, to everyone that got in contact and watched the first episode. It's been amazing to hear all the support and the reach it's got already. We're back with episode 2, and of course, as I said, we'd have our first guest this time. And I'm joined by the lovely Melissa today. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. I'm
Yeah.
very honoured to be your first
Oh,
guest.
thank
Thank you
you.
for having me.
Thank you very much. So, we know each other,
Mhm.
but they don't. So,
Mhm.
me and Melissa have been friends for a very long time because of the relation of the amazing Tia, which
Mhm.
is your daughter.
Mhm.
And today we're going to basically talk about, because it's a very strange side being a parent, I think, in this mental world
Mhm.
of disability, special
Oh
education,
yeah.
and special needs. And I think that your story, especially with Tia, is very
Mhm.
unique because it comes from a side of not just learning about the world, but
Mhm.
almost adapting everything you've done
Yeah,
to that world. I mean, you even work within it now.
I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So going back to the very beginning.
Mhm.
So I'm not good with years. So what year was it you were pregnant with Tia? Let's start there.
Oh, 96.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, and from what I'm aware,
Mhm.
there was no signs, there was nothing that was
Oh no,
said during the
no,
pregnancy.
no.
No.
Good pregnancy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything just ordinary, plain
Yeah.
sailing. I was 22, coming on for 23 when she was born. Yeah, normal, ordinary, and didn't suspect a thing.
No.
No.
And then, of course, what was your, I'd say, knowledge
Mm.
on, we're just, say it now.
Mhm.
So Tia has cerebral palsy,
Yes.
which is what we're going to talk about today.
Mhm.
What was your knowledge, not just on cerebral
Mhm.
palsy, but your perspective and
Mhm.
experiences with the
Yeah.
disability world, people with disabilities? What were you doing up to that point, at that age? Were you doing anything around that? Where was
No.
working
I had no
wise,
idea.
uni? What was?
No. Work-wise, I was working
Mm.
as editorial assistant on magazines. That's what had
Oh
always
wow!
planned to do. Yeah, always loved working on magazines. Um, and no, I didn't know anything about disability.
No.
I don't even think any friends had any disabilities. I mean, it's a different world now. Our
Yeah.
knowledge is so much
Yeah.
greater
Oh,
and
100%.
more inclusive about people with all kinds of disabilities. We're more aware, we're more accepting, and it's just ordinary, it's normal. Back then, so when I was between the ages of 6 and 12, we lived in a really amazing street where everybody knew each other, and everyone was really good friends. But there was one house with a child with a learning disability in it, and they didn't let that child out. But the child would hang out the window and shout and scream. So I'm giving you a picture of the 1980s now.
Yeah.
That's
No.
how old I
That's
am.
yeah.
They kept the parents, I guess, or society decided to put a divide down. I'm not sure. So that was my only knowledge, I guess, experience of
Yeah.
seeing anybody young. Um, yeah, I mean, if, I don't know what else to say. It was just didn't know anybody with disabilities. Wasn't in that world. And of course, when you get in that world,
Oh yeah.
that's all you live in after that.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was a bit of a shock. But
And do you think that it was one of those things where it was already a made up
mm,
mind people already had on them things? Because there wasn't, as you were saying, that media coverage, all that stuff. There wasn't,
mhm,
you see people, there's stories and TV shows now, there's
yeah.
presenters that have
Mhm,
disabilities. We
mhm,
see people all the time. We just
mhm,
had Ellie from uh, Down syndrome awareness on Strictly this year. We've
mm,
had a few others in the past.
mhm.
Do you think that that side of it was what was making it more difficult for people in that time? Or do you
Yeah.
think it was just where people were
Mhm.
just not willing to have them conversations?
I really don't know. All I know is as a parent, with a child, remember as well, even now, most parents don't get told what their child's disability is
No.
until 1, 2,
Year
3, 4,
4,
5
5.
years.
Yeah.
And so you are just kind of suspended, holding your breath, waiting and feeling quite isolated.
Yeah.
So, no, just didn't know anything, but you just try your best. That's what
Exactly.
every parent
And
does,
yeah.
regardless of disability, you just have to try your best. And but when she was born, I was quite determined to celebrate the normal as well.
And that was
So,
gonna be my next
okay.
question, was going
Yeah.
into, the side of,
Mm,
so I'd say, because the show is called
mm,
One Breath at a Time, it's about them moments,
yeah,
about when you really have to stand back, look at everything
yeah,
around you, and know that everything's about to change, and what you
yeah.
did to yours was from the moment she was
From the
born.
moment she was born, yeah.
Yeah, and, do you wanna go on from there?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was obviously because it was a difficult birth and, it lasted way longer than it should, the labour did, and then I was rushed in for a C-section. Everything was taking too long. So when she was born, she was starved of oxygen, and that's what caused the brain injury, which led to cerebral palsy. So yeah, from the get-go, we knew that something potentially could be wrong.
Yeah.
But like I just said, you don't get told this until
No.
you either demand an answer, seek private help, and get a diagnosis, or you accept things as they are day by day and just try and manage it yourself, which is pretty much I kind of did all three, to be honest with
Yeah, and I think that's
you.
one thing that there's so much that's been done in terms of representation, but in terms of getting to the point where you're part of that representation
Mm,
is one of the hardest part, because it's the most annoying thing is it is still in some cases like that today,
yeah,
in trying to get that diagnosis,
yeah,
trying to get the
yeah,
answers that not only do you want, but the child probably
yeah.
wants as well.
And it's probably harder for parents now. My heart goes out to them because we have the internet now. Where, of
Yeah,
course, in 1997, I think it was just coming, the old long dial-up tone.
yeah,
I remember my dad hearing that in his office
yeah.
next door.
Put the phone
So it
down.
was there, but there wasn't a lot of presence online, and particularly not a lot to do with disability. But now we have the internet. We have so much information and so many influences and people you can follow and things you can look up that maybe it's good in one way, but also quite
I
difficult
Yeah,
as well, because you're going to compare your child to other children a lot more.
it's almost like finding the balance
Yeah,
between
yeah,
what's great about it is the vast knowledge is out there, but it's not letting it overhaul you,
yeah,
I would guess.
uh-huh,
So
absolutely.
we get to the point where
Mm,
we're now gone to when Tia was about 2, 3,
mm,
4, about them
mm,
ages.
mm,
And would you say it was, you were saying from very early
mm,
on, you knew that it was gonna be something
yeah,
that was gonna change things,
mhm,
but was there a particular moment or something you remember within them early years where
mm,
you went, "Man, this is gonna be really hard to, like, work around," or this
yeah,
particular part was something that really made you
yeah,
understand I guess the landscape of having a child
mm,
with a disability, and
mm,
I guess maybe even at that age,
mhm.
she was undiagnosed still, or
Oh gosh, I can't remember because she's 28 now. So it's a long time ago, so I can't remember exactly when she was diagnosed, but we figured it out anyway. She might have been around 9 months, where I had to ask a physiotherapist, beg her for the diagnosis, and she said, I can't, but I think it's cerebral palsy.
yeah,
Um, but, first of all, she was a joy. She was an absolute beauty and a delight. Both my girls were,
yes,
especially at that age, because that is a gorgeous, gorgeous age, 2, 3,
yeah,
4, and the preschool years, and extremely bright, extremely bright. And she always was and still is,
yeah,
because I think, if you don't move around so much and you're more immobile and you take things in, you absorb things, and she's very intelligent and nothing
yeah,
could get past her. Um, but I never looked at the situation as negative.
which is, and I'm not saying
Mm,
like that in a congratulations
mm,
to you thing, but I think for quite a lot of people,
mm.
that is quite a unique perspective
Yeah,
to not let it bombard
yeah,
you. But the next part I was gonna go
yeah.
into on that was, the reason why, which is because from what I remember from the early years, from what
Mm,
you told me over time, you, from the second you knew it was some kind of
mhm.
form of cerebral palsy or some kind of disability, you threw yourself into
Yeah,
just self-educating yourself.
I had to. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just felt like she had to have all of me, and I needed to be in her world. But I was very lucky at the time. As a family of three, we'd moved back in with my parents to save for a mortgage, which is what we did. and that took 2 years. So that gave me a mental and a physical base, if you like,
Yeah.
to kind of down tools and go, okay, my mum and dad have got me. Oh, I've got her now.
Yeah.
So, all thanks to them for supporting us back then.
Yeah.
And the whole family.
Yeah.
So that I could learn about cerebral palsy. And again, like we just said, there wasn't much on the internet. You
No.
had to physically open books and read and
Yeah.
speak to people. You become an expert. We always say this in the disabled community as parents. You suddenly become a nurse, a doctor, a physio, an OT, a speech and language therapist, a social worker, you name it.
And I remember noticing it with my parents.
Mm,
It's I think the biggest balance is trying to have all that, and then at the same time, and I don't know if you experienced this being the mother,
mm.
was trying to balance all that, and then you then have the other side of it, which is just the fact that you've become a parent for the
Yes,
first time
yeah,
yourself,
yeah,
and you're dealing with all them normal
that's
things.
right.
But when you go to like
Yeah,
the things like the baby groups or the
yeah,
nurseries or the fun play and stuff like
yeah.
that, it's trying to, when people go, "Oh, it must be really hard," and they go,
Mm,
and I think that's one of the worst things is when
mm.
people go, "Oh, I can really get what you mean." No, you don't.
No.
And I think that's one of the worst
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I think, well, I guess I was naive. I was just 23 then. By the way, I'm so glad I had kids young because now I'm in my 50s and my girls are grown. I've kind of got life again, which is great.
Yeah,
So I'm very thankful that we did have kids young. So I did have that energy and that
yeah.
drive,
And do you
to
think
help
that's what
Tia on her way.
helped?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
And like I said, my family support. Um, I think in those early years, I was just trying to help her fit in. So we had an antenatal group where you learn how to go through labour, and we became friends after our kids were born. And there was 3 or 4 of us in the group, lovely people, and so we all kind of raised our kids together, and they were so fantastic and accepting of
wow.
us. And um, but it was only when somebody moved into the area and came into our friendship group that that person and her daughter would stare at Tia because I hadn't grown up with her.
Which is I always find really interesting.
Yeah,
It's always from
so
the outsider's
from
point
the
of view.
outside, they just couldn't get to grips with us and that we were different. And then I kind of moved away from that group then. But yeah, I was always trying to do the normal, in
Yeah,
inverted commas, the normal things, and just, I guess, push and push out. And interestingly, I said to Tia quite recently, "Are you glad I pushed you from a very early age?" Because we were doing alternative exercises and alternative therapies from 11 months,
yeah,
because I just wanted to do as much as I could to help her. And it was hard at times. And, she cried, I cried, her dad cried, her grandparents cried. It was awful. But she said to me recently, "Yeah, thanks, Mum. Thanks for pushing me because I still don't give up."
yeah. And I think for me, it's one of those things that I think every friend that I've got that's in that world, they've got, and it's not always the mum, it's not always the dad, it can
Mm.
sometimes be a nephew, an
Mhm.
uncle, a grandparent, but there's always someone in that relationship that the person's got, which I think is so crucial, that is not hard on them, but
Mm.
has that disciplined side to it.
Yeah.
And it's not because you want them to go through
Mm.
stuff, it's to make them stronger knowing
Yeah,
that there's other things
absolutely.
ahead.
Yeah.
For me, it was my dad,
Mhm.
and it was the case of the weekly blood tests and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I remember my dad said the same kind of thing that you said to Tia then, which was, I never did it because I wanted to. It's because, and I think you'll relate to this, is
Mhm.
because in the back of your head, as sad as it is to
Mhm.
admit, even though we've all come through it now,
Mhm.
is that it kind of needs to be ingrained in the brain from a young
Mhm.
age, because it is going to be something that just becomes part of the
Yeah.
routine.
Yeah.
And moving on to that side of it, would you say your routine with things changed? And then, of course, you once you had that
Mhm.
routine, did you think that you felt that you had it set for when she
Mm.
did start going into school? And we'll go to
Mm.
primary in a minute.
Yeah. Oh, I devoted my life to her
Yeah. Well,
completely.
I know.
And yeah.
Sorry.
Um, and everything became about physio. helping her speak. Everything was therapy based. Looking back, I probably should have relaxed a bit. A little bit, taken the foot off the pedal just a bit because I went overboard. For instance, when I had a bath, my parents luckily had a really big house and their bathroom was like double size. I could, when kids are young, they never let you have a moment's peace, not even in the loo. So I'd take her into the bathroom with me in a walk-in frame with a tray and give her loads of sensory stuff to do whilst I was having a bath. So she had bubbles on her tray, she had salts on her tray,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So that I thought, right, she's having therapy and she's poodling around the bathroom while I'm having a bath. That was silly. I should have had the bath with the door shut and
Yeah.
candles lit and Epsom salts in the tub for myself, not on the tray for her. But yeah, it was the routine was, what can I do to help her
Yeah.
today? What can I do to, and came early on because when she was in hospital, she was in the SCBU unit, the special care baby unit.
I love how you
And
remember the anagram.
I know. Well, it was a traumatic time, but also a time of hope if you
Yeah,
want to be
no,
positive about
100%.
it.
100%.
She got better before I did. I went downhill. I got a blood infection, and she still had to stay in SCBU. And I remember the nurse saying, I overheard her say to another nurse, "This child is so bright. I can see lots of life in her eyes. She needs to be outside. She needs to be in the fresh air. She needs to be hearing things, seeing things, smelling things, touching things, tasting things to get, really a grip on life because it had been several weeks then since she was born." So I guess that stuck with me, and through her toddler years, I was like,
Yeah.
"Right, she needs to be out there." So we were always out doing things, always out in the fresh air. We were always having different sensory experiences. I got my brother, who was 10 at the time, I think, so there's a big age gap between us, on board with making toys for her that were black and white because apparently
They can't
babies and
see the
toddlers,
cut. Yeah, we
exactly.
went through the same thing with
So yeah,
Arabella. I say like
and
she's my child, she is my niece, by the way, when I say that.
So yeah, that was that was the routine. Get her as
Yeah.
ready for school as possible because that terrified me,
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
about letting her go
Yeah.
to school.
And that's another thing we'll go into. One thing
Mm.
you did mention then that I just want to cover very,
Mhm.
very quickly was the part where you spoke about when you had time to you, you'd still
Mm.
wouldn't give it to yourself.
Mm.
Because this podcast goes out to them type of people, if
Mm.
there's someone that's in that situation that's got literally just had a child, they're in
Yeah.
this disability, maybe waiting for the diagnosis,
Uh-huh.
or even in like just starting the primary school thing
Yeah.
and just don't feel, how crucial do you think it is to give yourself that time?
Yeah. They need to get out of their own head. It's really hard though.
Yeah.
Because you're just in panic mode, you're in stress mode, you're in trauma mode, and alarms are going off in your brain because you had a vision of a perfect life, a perfect child. Things were going to be, because when you're carrying a child, you have to read all the textbooks and you're counting every kick and you're watching what you eat and you're making sure that everything is amazing for this child to have the most perfect start to life. And then when something is obviously wrong, your brain is just going nuts. Um, and yeah, I would say to them now they have to step aside and just take a moment and remember to look after their own health. Um, that's what we do now. In our podcast, Let's Take Care.
Yeah.
We talk about carers' health because it's so important. And I think a lot of later on in life illnesses that adult carers, parent carers are getting is because of the stress and strain and the situations they put themselves under, as well as the situations they were put under by local authorities and things like that. So yeah, I would say make some time for you.
100%.
Mm.
So we'll move on to the primary side now, but of course, just as that was starting,
Mm.
just to make your life so much more
Yeah.
easier,
Hmm.
you said, "No, let's have another kid. Let's have Jodie."
I know.
So
Yeah.
let's go into the
My
primary
little
side.
sweetie.
And what one thing I was going to mention, because I've always seen that relationship between you three, because
Yeah.
you are like a rock, you three,
Yeah.
is do you think when Jodie came along,
Uh-huh.
it made it easier, not just for you, but for Tia as well, because you had something else to focus on? Does that make
Yeah. I mean,
sense?
gosh. Yeah, if you look at it that way, then yeah, it was amazing for me to focus on something else and let Tia go a little bit and let
Yeah.
her kind of explore life on her own. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad. Obviously,
Yeah.
I love both my
Of
girls to
course.
bits and I'm so happy that I've got them both. I'm so glad that we made that decision. It is quite brave to think, can we have any more? And I take my hat off to parents who let the breath go
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have more children, not even
Yeah.
not
And
1,
that's
2,
what
3, 4.
No, yeah, and I think that's you've said it perfectly,
Yeah.
let the breath go. It
Yeah.
is making them decisions and
Mhm.
going, "Am I ready to make that
Yeah.
step?" And I
Yeah.
think it's almost like a subconscious thing where you kind of put every situation in your head, and then it literally always comes down to just a simple,
Yeah.
"Keep on hitting this, I'm really sorry." Yes, no.
Mhm.
And I think that's the
Mhm.
hardest part.
Yeah. But I tell you what, you'll know this because you've got amazing parents. Parents of disabled children are superheroes, okay? We could run the country, we could run the world. I'm adamant about that. We've got so many skills.
Yeah,
We've got so much
yeah.
strength. Um, so having a child with special needs first and then having another child and she's non-disabled, it was so easy. It was so easy having
I
a
wasn't
child.
gonna make you say that, but I was in my head, I was like, "Do I kind of put it that way?" It's like,
Oh,
"Well, you've
I could
said it
just pick
now."
her up with one hand and just kind of do this, and like feed Tia and
Yeah.
do Tia's
Yeah.
wheelchair whilst I'm rocking like this baby.
Oh, that's
Oh, it was
brilliant.
so easy. It was,
That's
and
absolutely brilliant.
she was a joy, anyway, which helped. But
So looking at Tia when she went into primary school, I'd
mm,
say one of the first things that's when I met her.
uh-huh,
So I think I was about 5,
yeah,
something like that, maybe a bit younger
uh-huh,
when I met Tia, and we've known each other for years. We're
yeah,
still great friends. Um, did you feel that once, because you said you had the friendships from the baby group
mm.
and that, did you feel like a massive, "Oh my god, they get me," when you started meeting parents that had got children with
Oh yeah,
disabilities as well?
yeah. It's like a
Yeah,
secret club.
yeah,
You get each other's language,
yeah,
straight away. Um, yeah, it was great to meet your parents and James's parents, for instance, and a few of the others. You just feel at home. You just feel understood and
yeah,
supported, and everything's okay,
yeah.
you know. And you can also lean on each other for support and advice. And we did a lot of fun things, didn't we, when you
Oh, we
guys
did.
were little? And
I still
lots of
remember
play.
I still remember that one of the best things was the pirate party that I had, and you being so worried when you came round our house because it was new, and you're like,
Oh yeah,
"You haven't got wheelchair access and all that."
yeah.
And probably shouldn't say this, but it's just how it was in the 2000s because
Mm,
people it was still a bit, even when we were growing
mm,
up, a bit like, "Well, there's no access." It's like, "Well, we'll make
yeah,
access."
yeah. You just
And
make
the
the most
best
of it.
the best example was there wasn't a way of getting her wheelchair
Mm,
into the house.
yeah,
So the answer was my dad gave her a fireman's carry,
yeah. I know, it's
and that
brilliant.
was
Yeah.
how we did things. And I was going to say, almost feel like it's not important that we follow the health and safety
Mm,
guidelines. Things like that are put in place. But I do feel like sometimes that there's parts of it where I'm like, there should be a little bit more freedom, especially in them early years, to be able
yeah,
to make things work for everyone.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now it's the law, isn't it, about
Yeah.
access, and the houses are built differently, which is
100%.
great.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it
But,
just seemed so much more freeing then
mm,
because you had, as you were saying, you had the community around
mhm,
you. We had each other
mm,
because it was nice for us to know other people.
mhm,
And then of course she was in primary school and she does incredibly well in school.
mhm.
Um, and I'd say it was very, very early on that I noticed that Tia had a really fun interest in sport in
Yeah.
general.
Mhm.
And do you want to go on to how that started
Uh-huh.
and when you noticed it and
Yeah.
what was the moment you discovered the magical word of boccia?
Boccia, yep.
Yeah.
So she was then in junior school, and there was an annual competition locally. Do you remember the Kennet
Yes.
Games?
Yes.
And it gave children from primary schools all across the area the chance to compete on their own level and explore a variety of sports and different games and activities but it was one day of the year.
Yeah. It was one day.
And the you guys went to, I guess, an inclusive school or a school with a resource for
Yeah.
young children with physical disabilities primarily. And there was a physiotherapist team on site, who were amazing,
They were brilliant.
incredible ladies. But they were like everybody. Their workload was plenty, and they was quite tight for time. So they couldn't do much in the way of preparing you guys for this competition. So I kind of stepped in and said, "Okay, we'll come in and we'll help get these guys ready." And we started training in boccia and curling and stuff like that in lunch breaks. And when the Kennet Games were over, Tia especially said, "Well, What? Where's more?" And I said, "No, you got to wait for a
No,
whole
yeah.
year," which didn't seem fair to me. So I was like, "Right,
We need to do something
yeah,
about that.
that's always been my attitude. Let's fix the problem,
Yeah.
So we joined a local sports club. We were very lucky at the time to have a sports club locally to us in Maidenhead, that specialised in para sport. We got there and they didn't. Her particular sport is boccia, and if anybody listening doesn't know what involves, it's a sport. It was originally for people with cerebral palsy, but it now includes lots of other different disabilities. And it's very similar. It's a ball game, seated indoors, very similar to balls or petanque. It's a throwing game or a ramping game, and Tia played the throwing game. So we joined the sports club in Maidenhead. They didn't have boccia as a sport, and don't know why I said, "Okay, we'll do it,"
Yeah.
and that began. So that was 2009,
Wow.
I think. Yeah, 2009.
What's really impressed me about that is I actually didn't know when you said that
Mm,
that her first experience of disabled
yeah,
sports, which was the Kennet Games,
yeah,
was her first experience
yeah,
because she was so naturally talented at it.
yeah.
And it was them. I still remember them games
They were great. Yeah.
and I've still got my medals.
Oh,
Yeah, but I remember that was one of those key things for me as well
mm,
because it was really, oh, we can do this.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's what it was. I think that's what it was quite like
Mm,
for us all.
mm,
Because when it came to exclusive
mhm.
sports within PE and stuff like that, there was
Oh,
just nothing.
I think Tia was given a whistle to blow when other
Yeah,
kids were playing football, or
yeah,
they tried their best. Even at the school you guys were at, and it was an inclusive school. It's
yeah,
just so difficult, and there's still a lot of national talk today about
yeah.
how to make PE more inclusive. It's just still not happening,
No,
which is why sports clubs are so vital,
yeah,
especially for yeah children like my Tia who were born sporty but just need some help
yeah.
achieving those
And then
dreams.
moving on from that, she
Mm.
then basically fell in love with the game.
Uh-huh.
And do you want to go on from
Yeah,
there?
well,
What
luckily,
the story?
yeah.
Yeah,
So we were doing it socially, if you like, in community sport in Maidenhead, and then luckily she was at Trelaws where they train athletes, basically.
it was basically,
Yeah,
it was ironic. It was like,
she's in the
this is the
yeah,
Olympic sports
yeah. It's like the
town.
filter,
Yeah,
the
it was
filter.
like the Olympic
Yeah,
town, the
yeah.
Paralympics town, or whatever they call it.
It's an incredible place. It was definitely back then, full of amazing people who just see talent and nurture it.
Yeah,
So, very fortunate that she was in that environment and had role models to look up to, which again is another really important thing. Because as parents, you can only give your child so much, and then if there's no role models, how can they aspire? How can they move forward? But they're at Trelaws, they have a legacy of people going on to the Paralympics and
yeah,
national games and that kind of thing.
yeah.
So yes, sport became her life, and she threw herself in it, and it was really tough right until the time that she retired, if you like, being a female in a
Yeah.
sport like that. But she never gave up. She pushed herself and had to prove herself because she got selected for the England team, and then later on was on the GB pathway with
Yeah.
the GB squad, and she constantly had to prove herself and reinvent herself. And she amazed me every single day with the determination she had.
I think one of the things that inspired me about Tia with her way of dealing and training for sports was I remember she messaged me. This was when we were all living at the same kind of school. For those that don't
Hmm.
know, it was boarding school. Just so you're aware. Um, I remember her messaging me going, "Would you practice with me a few days a week?" And I went, "Yeah, 100%." She went, "I don't want you to be the person that passes me the balls. I want you to set that up, but I don't want it to
Um,
be that." And I went, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" She went, "I want you to play me." And I went, "You want to play me?" And she went,
mm,
"Yeah." And she went, "Why?" And she went, "Because you've got an advantage."
yeah,
And I went, "What's that?" And she went, "You can't play the game because you're too able-bodied,
yeah,
and everyone I play against is too easy for me."
right,
She went, "So I want to play against someone that I will never have an
yeah.
advantage over. So when it comes to that
To
point,
keep pushing herself,
I will
yeah.
be at a point where
Oh.
And that, to me, that was one of the core things
Yeah.
that Tia and me did, because we did that for about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Was every Tuesday or Thursday we used to
I
go into
remember.
the
Yeah.
hall and
Yeah.
we used to set up
Yeah.
and we used to play a few games. And she it was sometimes she's working on her long game, sometimes she's working on the
That's
right,
right.
the left, because that's the thing that with doing that stuff, you've got to
Mm.
work on different angles,
Mm.
different sides. And I'd say nearly every game she still beat me.
Oh, did
And
she?
she went, "No, you need to
Yeah.
win to make this hard." And I was like, "But you're too good." And
Mm.
she was like, "That's not the point." And I remember she used to get annoyed with me. She used to go, "Right, long game, throw it as far as you can." I was like, "Well, legally it needs
Yeah.
to stay within the square." She's like, "Just throw the ball."
Oh,
I was like,
right.
"Okay." So I threw it and it nearly hit the wall. And she went, "Yeah, that's a challenge." And I think that was one of the occasions where she was like, "We drew that one." I was
Mhm.
like, "Okay." But, and she went on, she did
Yeah.
so many amazing things. And what I was going to come to with that was where she is now, and
Yeah.
the relationship you two now have
Mhm.
is just incredible. Because
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
would you say sports was the big thing that really helped make that relationship a lot?
Yeah. Well, I think anything that both my girls did, I think. Well, Tia with the sports, and then Jodie was a theatre kid.
Yes.
And when Tia was in the England squad and a little bit with GB, there was a lot of travel involved, competing overseas and that kind of thing. And that was just incredible, incredible. It gave us incredible experiences and opportunities. And yeah, it, really bonded us together as a mother and daughter team, if you like. And the same with Jodie. She did
Yeah.
some travelling and different various performances in London and Wembley and all kinds of places. And those two things with both my girls are the most amazing things when I look
Yeah.
back. That I would recommend that to anybody. Get involved in a pastime and a hobby, throw yourselves in it, and just see what happens. Because
Yeah.
I've just got amazing friends. We both have from those
Yeah.
times. But yeah, so when you play boccia, in 3 of the categories, you need 2 of the categories. You need somebody with you full time on court, not influencing play, but being a bit like a golf caddy, passing balls and moving equipment, helping them prepare for each end of the game. And that was me for the longest time with Tia. Until one day she thought, I need to sack this woman because she's annoying. She got a professional assistant when she was training with GV. So yeah, I think definitely we were colleagues, if you like,
Yeah.
on court colleagues competing, and it was just amazing. So proud of her.
And just for those that know where Tia now, and after she retired, was it 2, 3 years ago now?
So yeah, COVID was difficult.
Yeah.
COVID was difficult for the sport, particularly boccia, and she got notification from Team GB that she was going along to the Tokyo Games. I remember the form to this day. Got the email that came through, and we were at training in Guildford, Surrey Sports Park, and her professional sports assistant then, they were filling out their kit equipment list, what shoe size they were, what jacket size they were, the Adidas kit. It was just amazing. And then because of COVID, they didn't take the up and coming athletes, if you like. They only took the professionals, which you understand because of
Yeah.
disease control or contamination control or whatever, however they managed it. And some tough things had happened as well around that time. And that was just it for Tia. I think she'd tried so hard to get there, and she had almost got there. The pinnacle is representing your country at the Paralympics, and she was almost there. And she'd been playing since she was 11, and she was 21, 22 then. And I think she just thought, okay, now's the time to duck out.
Yeah.
COVID has said no, I'm out. And that was it. So,
And I think,
I'm sad about that.
yeah,
And I know she is. But she's now running a community sports session.
exactly.
Yeah, which
And
I'm
she now
thrilled
runs
about.
her own community sports
Yeah.
session, as you were saying. And she's married.
She's married.
Yeah.
I know.
All the things that she's
Yeah.
got and she's achieved and all them
Uh-huh.
things. Do you look back on them early years and think, thank God I made them steps I did?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank God I pushed myself out there to get her out there to live as full a life as possible, because it was hard. It was hard sometimes, and you have to do everything extra when you have a child with a disability. There's no, like, "Off you go, child, go and play in the street,"
Yeah.
or go. You have to make the effort and be involved in your child's life and guide them and help them, particularly with kids like Tia. She has a speech impairment, so she always needs somebody there to help her communicate.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was tough,
Yeah.
but there were so many moments of joy and happiness and just ordinary family life
Yeah.
that wouldn't change anything.
What would you say would be the one piece of advice you'd give to someone that's, in that point of
Mm.
what we call one breath at a time, that big
Mhm.
moment where,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't necessarily just be like in having a child with a
Yeah.
disability or having a disability themselves, but from going through everything you went to, raising Tia and where
Yeah.
she is now,
Yeah.
what would be the one piece of advice you'd give to people that are about to, ready to make that massive
Mhm.
shift and know that it's going to be a shift?
Yeah. Um, get ready. Um, don't underestimate your child. I still see that today in 2026. People think, "Well, they're in a wheelchair, never mind. Oh no, we won't, try and help them get a job," or well, I can't think of an example, but there's lots of parents who still just accept the bare minimum that their child is doing. They don't push them, and don't underestimate your child. They're incredible. There's an incredible spirit and talent and person in there. Just, push yourself to push them forward. Never underestimate them.
Amazing. And if you could go back and say one thing to yourself
Yeah.
at the beginning of all this,
Mhm.
what would it be you'd say?
Chill out.
I love that. I love that.
Don't take things too seriously. Um, Laugh. I mean, we did laugh. We do laugh. We poke fun at ourselves. We poke fun at the past. But just exhale more. Don't take things too seriously. Life is fun. Life can be happy. Um, disability doesn't mean it's the end of anything. It's the beginning. It's just how you accept it, and it's how you treat life. But yeah, definitely just no anxiety.
Yeah.
Don't overthink things. Chill out.
Wow. Brilliant. Melissa, thank you so
Hey.
much.
Oh, we could chat all day, couldn't
We
we? It
could
was
honestly
great.
chat all day.
Yeah.
But it's been fantastic.
Oh,
Thank you
thanks for
so much for coming on. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And thank you for Melissa for being an amazing guest. We'll be back next month with another amazing story and more words of advice and amazing ways to get round the extraordinary here on One Breath at a Time. Thanks for watching.